Here's a proposed 30-second PSA or ad. I am asking all of you to give us a hand to help organize and join the largest worldwide demonstrations in history. Starting September 12, 2020, demonstrate to mitigate catastrophic climate change, to stop the dumping of plastic in our ocean, and to mitigate the 6th great extinction event. On our present course, we will reach a 4 to 6 degrees centigrade rise or more. That would ensure our descendants would have a nightmarish future. If we, the people, don't act now, then when? If you really care about yourself, your children, your grandchildren, and so on, you need to watch this video. More than 11,000 scientists from around the world declared a climate emergency. Since I've researched climate change, plastic in our ocean, and the 6th great extinction event for many years, I'm surprised it took so long. They said we have generally conducted business as usual and have largely failed to address this predicament. Scientists, and particularly those that have been studying what is happening in climate change, have become much more alarmed at how rapidly these changes are taking place and the urgency to take far more drastic action. At the end of this video, I will share with you a plan of action that can help enormously in mitigating catastrophic climate change. Few countries are adhering to the Paris Climate Agreement, and it was much too weak to begin with. So if this inaction continues, new evidence suggests temperatures will rise by 4 degrees centigrade or more by 2060. By 2100, it could be 6 degrees centigrade or more. 1 degree centigrade equals 1.8 degrees Fahrenheit. This would create a horrific future for everybody. Even a 2 degree centigrade rise would be catastrophic. Another climate model predicts we're currently on track for a warming of 4 to 5 degrees centigrade by 2100. At the poles and over land, the increase may be double that. People could be experiencing as much as 10 degrees heating over land, making many countries uninhabitable. Equatorial regions will warm much faster than most of the world, forcing billions of people from these areas. Where could they go? An average warming of the globe by 4 degrees centigrade would render the world unrecognizable from anything humans have ever experienced. We are reaching 3 or more tipping points. In 20 to 30 years, the Arctic Ocean will be ice-free in the summers. The Arctic Ocean has lost 95% of its oldest ice, a startling sign of what's to come. The dark, open waters will absorb heat rapidly because of the loss of the albedo effect. Ice and snow will no longer reflect heat back to space. Each year it will get warmer in the Arctic Circle. Secondly, permafrost will melt more rapidly each summer, releasing massive amounts of methane and CO2. Methane is 30 times more powerful than CO2 as a greenhouse gas. Methane levels have been relatively stable for the past 800,000 years, ranging from 300 to 800 parts per billion. Now methane levels have skyrocketed to more than 1,800 parts per billion. These are just two of the positive feedback loops that make the Earth warmer and warmer each year. Permafrost is now melting at levels not expected until 2090. These could cause a cascade of tipping points. Water vapor is the dominant positive feedback in our climate system. The amount of water vapor in the atmosphere exists in direct relation to the Earth's temperature. If you increase the temperature, more water evaporates and becomes water vapor. Since we are warming the planet faster and faster, more and more water is evaporating. This additional water vapor, another greenhouse gas, causes the temperature to rise even further. Study shows that water vapor feedback roughly doubles the amount of warming caused by CO2. So, if there's a 1 degree centigrade rise caused by CO2, the water vapor will cause the temperature to go up by another 1 degree centigrade. When other feedbacks are included, the total warming from a 1 degree centigrade chain caused by CO2 is in reality as much as 3 degrees centigrade. As we continue to warm the planet, the melting of Greenland's ice sheet will become irreversible. It eventually would include a sea level rise of up to 24 feet. Our future generations deserve a habitable Earth. Some 125,000 years ago, temperatures were barely higher than in today's greenhouse-warmed world. Yet proxy records show sea levels were 6 to 9 meters higher than they are today. So there was a collapse of the West Antarctica ice sheet. Its base lies below sea level, and it is now being undermined by warming ocean waters, and glaciers fringing it are rapidly retreating. We are now starting to see the disintegration of the West Antarctica ice sheet, which would eventually raise sea levels by more than 10 feet. Marine life is highly sensitive to even the slightest rise in temperature and declines in oxygen. In just decades, we will likely see the extinction of coral reefs because they might not survive even a 2-degree centigrade rise. Half of all the coral reefs are already dead. A quarter of all fish species reside in coral reefs. More than 1 billion people benefit directly from coral reef resources for food and a source of income through activities related to fishing and tourism. Some estimates say that over 1 billion people depend on food from coral reefs. Because of more water vapor in the atmosphere, we will see more and more catastrophic flooding. Clouds that can drop a lot of rain are more common in a warmer atmosphere. We can expect to see a higher frequency of Category 4 and 5 typhoons and hurricanes as temperatures continue to rise. By 2050, the increase of flood risk will be 170% more frequent, with heavier rain and snowfall. Scientific America said scientists tend to underestimate the severity of threats and the rapidity with which they might unfold. Projected risks of increasing warming, dire as they are, could be underestimated. Nature is declining globally at rates unprecedented in human history. We are at the beginning of the 6th Great Extinction event. Climate change and habitat loss over the next 30 years are expected to drive at least a quarter of land animals and plants into extinction. Somewhere between 25 to 50% of all species on Earth could be extinct by 2100. Right now, over 100 million marine animals are killed each year due to plastic in our ocean. Plastic in the ocean will outweigh all the fish in the sea by 2050. Algae adheres to plastic pieces, and birds, fish, whales, dolphins, and other marine species think of it as food. When they eat it, they can't eliminate it or digest it, and they're slowly poisoned by the plastic or starved because their stomachs are full of plastic. 90% of seabirds that are now found dead have plastic in their stomachs. They almost certainly will go extinct. Many animals die because they get entangled in discarded plastic nets or other plastic debris. More than 640,000 tons of nets, lines, pots, and traps used in commercial fishing are dumped and discarded in the sea every year. That's the same weight as 55,000 double-decker buses. Fishing nets account for 46% of all plastic in our ocean. At the current rate of growth of CO2, methane, water vapor, and nitrous oxide, the resulting increases of a 4 to 6 centigrade rise in temperature will drown cities, stagnate seas, cause intolerable heat waves, unimaginable forest fires, and make entire nations uninhabitable. We could have 2 billion refugees by 2100. This would lead to the collapse of civilization in a large part or all of the world. Only very rapid measures to mitigate climate change would work. An average warming of the entire globe by 4 to 5 degrees centigrade would render the world unrecognizable from anything humans have ever experienced. Anyone who can contact the Swedish environmental activist Greta Thunberg, please do so. Ask her if she would help organize and participate in worldwide demonstrations starting September 12, 2020. Ask her if she would ask her young followers to get their parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, nieces, friends, and everyone else to participate in these worldwide demonstrations. For 4 consecutive Saturdays starting September 12, 2020, demonstrate. If those in power don't agree to quickly implement strong measures to drastically mitigate climate change, the 6th Great Extinction event, and plastic in our ocean, then demonstrate every day until they do. Please ask all environmental groups to put on PSAs on national TV on the dire predicament we are facing and the need for the demonstration. Ask foundations, corporations, religious groups, and other national and international groups to do the same. Ask your congressmen and women or other leaders if they'd please join us in these necessary demonstrations. Write letters to your editors. Start groups to organize these demonstrations. Ask newspapers to write articles supporting us. If you can afford it, put on a 30-second ad yourself. The last 5 years, 2014, 15, 16, 17, and 18, were the hottest years on record. According to statisticians, the odds of that being by chance is 1 in 26 million. Now, 2019 will stand as the second hottest year on record. The odds of that being by chance are astronomical. Here's a proposed 30-second PSA or ad. I am asking all of you to give us a hand to help organize and join the largest worldwide demonstrations in history. Starting September 12, 2020, demonstrate to mitigate catastrophic climate change, to stop the dumping of plastic in our ocean, and to mitigate the 6th great extinction event. On our present course, we will reach a 4 to 6 degrees centigrade rise or more. That would ensure our descendants would have a nightmarish future. If we, the people, don't act now, then when?